Okay, we're going to take a look at pavement markings inside of ORD. There's a couple different types we're going to look at: linear pavement markings and point pavement markings. So let's take a look at this first one, which is linear pavement markings. We can draw either yellow or white or whatever type pavement markings on top of our corridors and in our 2D models. Several different ways to do it. One is to do linear pavement marking through standard templates. So we have templates that have been created to place on top of other templates to create linear pavement markings. We'll show you how to do that here shortly. Linear pavement markings through custom template points. You can add points to your existing templates and your template drops to draw linear pavement markings in your 2D and 3D models. Another option is linear pavement marking through horizontal and vertical geometry tools. So use your horizontal tools and your 2D model with pavement marking feature definitions to draw pavement markings at various locations. If you have a vertical alignment applied to it, you can have it draw on top of your corridor. And then we'll also take a look at getting reports on pavement marking. They can be either linear or point. This first portion we'll talk about the linear ones. If we take a look at the linear pavement marking through standard templates, basically we have templates that have been created and are in our template library for ORD that are used to create linear pavement markings. So you can see on the left over there on this screen, we have a pavement markings folder, and we have pavement marking templates set up for 1 lanes, 2 lanes, and 4 lanes. You can create your own as well, and we'll show you how to do that a little bit. So these templates that have been created, they're placed on top of your existing templates, and points can be made to move or to merge with other points inside of your template. Feature definitions control what pavement marking is being drawn in the 2D and 3D model. And those feature definitions can be changed to utilize whatever type of pavement marking that is needed. So some of these pavement markings you can see on the left here, 4-inch white right edge and a 4-inch yellow baseline, that can be changed. Once you place those into your template, you could double click on the point that creates that pavement marking and change it to a 4-inch white baseline if you needed. And it will take place in your corridor or in your 2D model, and will show the right color and width of what you've selected. That is one way to do that, and let's take a look at doing that right now. Go over into ORD. Currently we have a roadway in here, ramp roadway baseline. And if we were to go into our template tools, so we'll go into corridors, take a look at our template library. So we'll open that up, and inside of our template library we have one called pavement markings. So this template library is for my current project, and the mo.itl was copied and created for this. So this information is in the ORD mo.itl. So if we take a look at, say, for this 2-lane roadway that we have out here, I can go to the 2-lane option. If I expand that out, let's say the first one in there is a 4-inch white edge line and a double yellow center line. So if that's what I needed, I could actually bring that out here. If I left click on it, you'll see I just have points created in the view down here at the bottom in the preview. Out here in this window, I already have them on this template. As you can see, center line double yellow, and then we have a 6-inch point over here, which is a pavement marking edge white. Okay, and on the other side we have the same thing. So if you wanted to put that on a different template, you could do that. I'm going to come down in here to my templates, take a look at my concrete pavement with shoulder, my A2 shoulder ag base. Let's look at that first one that's in there. So this is the standard one. If I wanted to copy that, I can put that in my project directory here. I'll just put it right underneath the root of it, paste that in there. Okay, and so now I have it at this location. I could take any one of these that I was wanting to use and move it over here to my template. So you can see I have several different ones. I also have skip left and solid right, skip right and solid left. So if you had pavement markings out here, you could have a template with one type of pavement marking running from one station to another, and then you could have that same template only with a different pavement marking applied to it for the next section. Okay, so let's just say that we want skip left, solid right with 4-inch white edge. As I drag that out on the screen, you'll see that the green point there is where I have it, and I can just place that right on top of my center line. As I drag that across, you'll see that this is a standard template, so it's got 12-foot wide pavement, and I can drop that onto my template. So on the left side and the right side now, I have these two items up here, left 4-inch pavement marking edge white, and then a 4-inch pavement edge white on the right side. So if I double click on that, you can see that this is still being based off the right concrete TEOP, which is over here. So those points were named the same, so they just merged together. Center line also merged together. If this was an asphalt pavement that I was placing it on, it would have 2 points in there, and I'd have to delete one or the other. It wouldn't matter which one you deleted, these points will go ahead and look at the point that is remaining. Okay. So now once I've placed that on there, anywhere that I place this template, it will go ahead and draw in all those edges of pavement. Okay, so this one is called concrete pavement 2-lane. So let's go ahead and close that, save the changes. I'll check in my ITL. And let's say this particular line right here, it's a connector road. Let's say that it's a 2-lane that we need to place that on. I can come out into my corridor tools, create a new corridor, and I can base it off of this alignment I have. I'll reset for the active profile. It's called a connector road on this one. I'll go ahead and accept that. And it creates the corridor. Now it wants to know what the template is. So I can pick that template, and I can go find the one that is in my job number, and should have one right here. As you can see, when I select it, it does show those points that were created, and I can click OK on that. Now I'm going to accept that out here, and I'm just going to place it in this location, 5-foot intervals. And when I drop that in there, when I zoom into it, you will see that the pavement markings have been added in 2D. I look over here in 3D. I can also see that they've been added in my 3D as well. Okay, so that is creating it with a standard template. Just take and drop the template that you have on top of the template that you're using, or even onto a new template, and it will go ahead and draw in your linear pavement markings. Okay. The next way to do that is linear pavement markings through custom template points. So basically you are using the circle option, which is something new inside of ORD. Add a new component whenever you're inside of the template library or a template drop. You can add a new component, which is a circle. That circle will actually physically draw in your drawing. Whereas if you were to put a point out there, you would have more difficulty getting that to draw. But a circle is created, and we'll just make it a 0 radius circle. And that will cause it to draw in our 2D and 3D models. Okay. You can base the center of that circle off of a parent point, just like we've the main template is. The ones that have already been created, they're based off a center line. So you could just bring the center line double yellow up above your asphalt TCL in this case, and it will draw a center line for you. Okay. And then you just apply the feature definition that you want to that circle, such as a center line double yellow, and it will draw that in your drawing. So let's take a look at doing that. So in this file, I can go ahead and maybe take on the second portion of this. We can use that same template. I'm not even going to go in the template library. I'm just going to do it right here on the screen on a template drop. Let's say that I wanted another yellow line in this one. I wanted it to show up in the center line or the center of the other pavement or something like that. I can go ahead and go into our template library for that, our template drop, and open it up. Okay, so our template drop in there has these different points. If I wanted one to be in, say, the middle of this lane, of the right lane, I can come in here and right click and just add a new component of a circle. And I can place it anywhere because I'm going to tell it where to go in just a little bit, but I'll just left click on it here. It'll ask for the radius of it. I'm just going to click right back on the point where it turns white. Okay. Once you have that in there, you can double click on it, and there's a point in that circle that makes up that circle center point, and you can tell it where you want it to go. So I can say off horizontally from the concrete TCL, I'm going to be 6 feet. Okay. Point will turn yellow, and now it's got one constraint. All right, and then if you wanted, you could even be a vertical of that. See what that one comes out to be. So if we do, let's say we do a slope based off of that, and right now we've got it negative 162. Let's say we make that a negative 2%. You could also do a vector offset from the center line to the right concrete TOP, and it'll always stay on that as well. But I'll do negative 2% for this one and apply that. You can see it's right above it. So if that's 2% down from the concrete TCL, I might want it to be just slightly above that. So let's make that a negative 1% in this case. We'll apply that, and that'll move it up above. You just want it to be above your template somewhere so that it will actually draw in there. So once you get it placed where you want it, you can come out here and tell it what feature it is. Okay, and so the feature definitions, there's all kinds of different feature definitions in here. See, we're looking at feature definitions, linear, design. You can go down to the pavement markings. And we've got all these different ones in here. Let's say that I want it to be a single skip dash. And I want it to be yellow, 10 and 30. So I can set it to do that. And you can give it whatever name that you want. You can say that this one is yellow center. And just apply that. And it will name that for you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close that. And once we click OK here, it's going to go out and take a look at that and draw us a 10 and 30 skip yellow line through the center of that roadway. Okay, so that's how you add in your own pavement marking, your own custom locations in your pavement. So not all pavements are going to be exactly 12 foot or anything like that, so you can make your own. Okay, so we'll go back into linear markings. The third way to do this is to come out and create it with some of the horizontal tools. As you can see in the image over here to the left, it's not really an offset or anything. It's more of a, you might have a variable offset, or you might have drawn this with linear elements. So this portion is easier, a little bit easier to use. You just draw it where you want it. You set your feature definition to the pavement marking style that you want, and then you pick your horizontal tool to use to draw in your 2D model. If you give it a profile, then it will show up in your 3D model. There's also a stamping tool that's built into your 3D tools that you could use to stamp a line onto your corridor. Let's take a look at doing this one. Okay, for this, first thing I want to do is in my feature definition box, I'm going to go ahead and set that to linear design. We got pavement markings. Let's say that we want another single skip dash, and this time it's going to be white 1030. Okay, so that sets it up at the top. I'll go ahead and turn on and make it active here. So now anything that I draw is going to be pavement marking 10 and 30 skip. So you can use whatever tools you want horizontally to create this. So I can go to the geometry tools, and then horizontal you could use the create complex geometry, complex by PI if you want. And you could come down in here, you could use Civil AccuDraw if you wanted to turn that on. You could go turn that on and do a station offset. If you ever do a station offset, you just want to tab down to the offset field, hit the letter O on your keyboard, and pick your center line. Sometimes your center line is hard to find if you got pavement markings on. You might have to zoom in. You can left click on it, and now your stationing will be based off there. So if you said that you wanted to go from 0 plus 50, so 0 plus 50, enter that in. So that's going to lock you in there, and I want to be negative 6 foot to the left. You could do that, and you can left click to start it there. And if I needed to come down the road to 2 plus 50, enter that in. Oh, entering in the wrong spot. 2 plus 50 here, and enter that in. If you move around, it'll lock you in. And again, I could be negative 6, or maybe I even needed to have a variable slope to this, so I could do a negative 7 at the end here. And move that, and you'll see that it kind of is no longer parallel to the center line, and I could left click that. Okay. And when you right click out, you'll have that there. Now on your 3D, it's not there yet. Okay, so what we'd have to do is create a profile for that. So to do that, if you wanted to open up your profile window, open it up in window 8. You've got your existing ground out there. You could do this a couple of different ways. We do have a center line that we can project down onto that if you wanted. That's one easy way to do it. Let's say that we wanted to go to our vertical tools. Got all kinds of different vertical tools, profile creation tools, element profiles. Element profiles is where you'll find your projection tools. So let's say that we want to profile by slope from an element. And we can come out here and say our slope, just like we did on the other side. Let's go down negative 1% and see what that does for us. Okay, no vertical offset for this one. We'll just try that. It says locate element to profile. So we're going to profile this element, and then we will right click. The reference element will be our center line of our roadway. We'll accept our negative 1%, all cases, and then we'll do no profile adjustment and no vertical. And that will go in and create our profile for us. And in this case, it also made it active. That's why it shows up over here now. So if I were to hover over this, you can see I have an active profile there. So that is a way to get your elements in there as well and show your pavement markings. Okay. And then the last portion of the linear pavement markings tool is doing your reports. So there are reports. There's one that has been created just for MoDOT in order to show our pavement markings for linear elements. It shows the start station. Over here, start station, it shows the type that we have, and that is based on the name that is given to the geometry, and then the length that is defining that entire pavement marking. So let's take a look at doing those. So under our geometry tools, we have reports, and you can do the horizontal geometry report. Okay. This one will lock to start, lock to end, and all of those. Locate the first element, so you're going to go out and locate all of your different pavement markings. So I can just left click on each one of these. And then it says right click to complete. I don't want any event points or profiles for this one. I just want the actual pavement markings. I can come up to the MoDOT area up here on my reports and look at the pavement markings. And that pavement markings tool tells me I have all these different items that I've made. So it, like I said, it bases it on how you named those. So you remember naming yellow center earlier. That's what it's going to name your pavement marking. So you just want to make sure that you name the point or that circle correctly when you're putting it in there. All right, then the other things that we have are point markers. So we'll go out and back into our PowerPoint here. We have point tools that place symbols, such as a left turn arrow, stop lines, straight arrows, different things like that. And they're cells, they're just microstation cells, and we're placing them in our drawing and giving them an elevation. Okay. Feature definitions have been set up to use the standard MoDOT cells of the typical pavement markings that we use. The civil point tool can be used with the feature definitions to create all these different pavement markings. They are based on a station, elevation, and rotation based on an alignment that we select in our drawing, and then we can report on those as well. The report for that one is one that's basically built into ORD that gives us our point name, the description of that, our station, offset, and elevation, and then what that feature is being used. So you can get a lot of information from the points that you place out there that have cells attached to them. So let's take a look at doing this one. So we've still got our connector road out here, and let's say that we want to place a couple of straight arrows. The way that we do this is we're going to go up into our geometry tools. We're going to go into the point tools, and that first one in there is point. We haven't used point a lot in the past, but this one allows you to put any kind of a cell that we have at MoDOT on your cursor on that point. And so we're going to base our elevation mode. There's several different ones in here. If you know what the elevation is, you can choose value and put it at a specific elevation. You can put it on a terrain model. The other one is a plan element. So I'm going to base this one on a plan element. Our reference alignment, which we will pick off the screen here in just a moment. And then our elevation offset is how far above or below that particular alignment profile do you want to be. And so 0.5 works pretty well. If you don't see it when you place it out there in your 3D model, you might have to go a little higher than that. Our rotation, we can make it relative to the alignment. And then our rotation dialog box down here tells it whether or not you're going to be perpendicular or parallel to that alignment. Down at the bottom you have the feature definition, and all of our feature definitions are under the point definitions, design standards, and then we've got pavement markings. So these are the ones that we have created so far. So we're going to go ahead and let's try and place a straight arrow. So once you choose straight arrow, it's going to go ahead and give you the name and the description the same. And I'm going to go ahead and close my profile window out. I don't need that for this one. And we'll just have the 2D and 3D windows pulled up. I'm going to kind of zoom into the area that I'm working at here. You can kind of see I'm down at this end of it. So let's try to place one here in between these yellow skip lines. So we'll be in this area right here. So that straight arrow, I'm going to have it point straight, basically north through here, in between these two skip lines. So to do that, it's asking me when I come on the screen to give it the plan element. So the plan element, I'm going to pick this connector road. So I select that. Elevation offset, we've also filled out in this dialog, so I'll go ahead and accept that at 0.5. The reference element for rotation, I want to rotate it based on that center line. And then it's going to come out here, and right now I have that rotation set at 0. And after I place this, it'll ask me, do I want to leave it there or do I want to rotate it a different direction? So our station, let's say that we need this to be at plus 5 or 10. So our station, as we move out this way, let's make it at, we're actually at 0 right there. So our station offset, I'm going to hit the tab down into offset and hit the letter O. I'm going to make sure that I've got the connector road. There we go. Now the station will update for me. You can kind of see it moving around correctly. So I'm going to go at 0 plus 50 for this one. 0 plus 50 and enter. And as you move around, you can see what that's doing. Sliding it around, so then I'm going to go 6 foot out in the middle of that lane and enter. And then I'm just going to left click to place that. Now it wants to know the rotation that I want to go on. I've got it locked in there at rotation 0, basically, north and east. I could hit tab down into there and hit the end key to unlock that, END, the end key. And then I can rotate that around however I want. Okay, so it's based off of this alignment. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that north 0 east in there and let it maintain that. And then all I have to do is just left click to place that out there. Now I've still got station and offset based off the center line. So I'm going to place one maybe right in this location, maybe at 0 plus 75. Okay, so I'm going to tab in, do a 0 plus 75, enter that in. That'll lock me in this location. And then my offset is going to be a -6. I'll enter that in. And then I'll accept that location that I want to place it. And now again, my rotation is locked in, so I'm going to tab down to the rotation and hit the end key. And I'm going to rotate that around. So let's try south, 0 west. And then you get it in there correctly. So then you can left click to place it, and you've got that on that side. Okay, now I also mentioned the report for this one. So up here at the top, we've got reports. And then under the reports, we've got the point feature station offset elevation report. So we're going to pick that one. And it's going to ask me what baseline do I want to be off of. I'm going to go ahead and pick that connector road. And then it wants the elements that you're going to get a report on. So I'm going to pick these 2 items. Then I'm just going to right click in a blank area, and it's going to give me the information on those. Station, offset, what the elevation is, and what kind of point that it is. So that right there is pavement markings and how we kind of do them right now in ORD at MoDOT. There are no other tools that we have purchased or anything to allow us to do this. So this is just kind of one way that you can maybe do this.